Welcome to another episode of Head to Head Sports. I'm your host Brian Parker, along with my co-host Mr. Randall Hargrove. How you doing, sir?
What's up, B Parker? How are you?
Man, I'm up and I'm down. I'm up in Facebook Kings really well.
Don't rub it in. Don't rub it in. My
but
little 3-5 record is hurting my feelings right now.
I'm also down in my Red Roof Inn league, so it's bittersweet on Monday where
You need to do a better job of climbing up that Primetown Mountain too, brother.
I know. Well, I'm sitting here thinking that I'm going with safe bets. And then, come on. Who really thought the Browns were going to dominate the Bungles like that?
Hey.
You know what? I knew Jamar Chase being out was going to be somewhat significant. But I'm still going. They got Boyd. They got now I can't think of the other receivers, and they got tight ends. Burrow is a guy who could just zip the ball all over the place. But you know what that's really showing me is that sometimes that one guy makes everybody else look good.
Yes, he does. You got to take for granted. Not for granted, but you got to look into the fact that that one guy, Chase, takes the cover off of the defense.
Right. And he commands so many double teams that it leaves guys in a lot of one-on-one situations. And when you remove him, and now you got to rely on your other two guys as good as they can be, now the defense can master defense in ways that makes it hard for them to get the ball fast enough, because the whole predicate of Joe Burrow being successful is getting the ball out of his hands quickly before he ends up on the ground. Because if you don't, he'll try to hold the ball as long as he can, and sometimes that's to his own detriment. Or he'll force it into coverages and end up with a bunch of picks.
He's just got three.
Sounds like that's what happened the other day. So we'll definitely get into that, because that definitely does keep affecting me when it comes to my going up the mountain. I'm going with picks that I'm going, okay, this should work, but that's why it won't. And like you always say, any given Sunday, any given Monday, God only knows what's going to happen. This season has been mirrored with so many games that make absolutely no sense on paper to see how they play out in real life. And that's why you play the game. You can't play it on paper. Can't have no paper champions, because if we had paper champions, the Rams and the Bills would be undefeated. Cincinnati would be in the mix. Atlanta would not be in first place in the damn NFC South.
I think we should start right there.
I know we're definitely going to start right there. Thanks everybody for joining in. We are streaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, as well as YouTube. Check us out on YouTube under Parker Media. I gotta remember what it was on the Empower TV. And please go there, like, share, and also subscribe to the channel. We would definitely appreciate it. We also stream this show always on our Roku channel, Empower TV, as well as Amazon Fire TV on Empower TV Network. So please check us out there for not only Head to Head Sports, but our Head to Head show, as well as any other content that we post, whether they're films and everything else. What did I say? Cincinnati is up and down. So sad from Anthony. That is true. We'll definitely get back into that, but we definitely wanted to take our time on our beloved Panthers Falcons. The Panthers had a really prime chance to come into Sunday with the wind against their backs, to walk into Atlanta, play a hard-fought game, but we really thought that they could come out with a win. If they had come out with a win at 3-5 because of their division record, three teams, I believe, no, all four wouldn't have been 3-5, right?
Yes, all four teams would
have been 3-5, but Carolina would have been number one just because of tiebreakers and conference record and things like that. We saw that they did not win that for several reasons. Atlanta, Damiere Byrd really put his spin on it. Former Panther kind of had a hell of a run at the end of that game, but everybody's pointing to the DJ Moore taking his helmet off somewhat in the end zone, but actually in the backfield out of the end zone, and drew a penalty. Rand, I will point to two observations here. Number one, don't do it. Number two, he did it, but the rules say that he wasn't in the field of play, so taking his helmet off should not have drawn the penalty. That is true. But don't give these dumbass refs any reason to steal another game away from you. They already did it in the first game or two this year when they called a false roughing the passer call, and then they called another bad call in the exact same game where he didn't spike the ball immediately, and that should have been a penalty.
Yes.
And back them up out of field goal range.
Yep.
So now we have two games that we clearly lost at the hands of the Zebras.
That's right. Not a lot of people realize that, but had we won those two games, and we easily could have won those two games if those calls would have gone our way, we'd be at 4-4 right now. I mean,
would be in sole control of the NFC South.
Sole control. But as bad as that is, I mean, we're still 2-1 in the division, and as crazy as it sounds, we're just is it? A game out? Well, 2 games out of first, game out of second. So this thing is not over, as crazy as it sounds. But you're right about referees. I'm so sick of the NFL refs, man. They are the worst organization of quote unquote professionals that I've ever seen in my entire life.
Here's my question. It's got to be like, what, 8 refs on the damn field?
Yeah.
And they still can't and they huddle up together. They talk. I don't know what they're talking about. Then when they break out of their little huddle, they still get it wrong.
From week to week, they are now affecting the outcome of games, and it's ridiculous. Once that starts to happen, I mean, the league needs to step in and just do a better job of getting.
When the league is having to basically come in the next day and admit that they got it wrong, but there's nothing that we can now do about it because it's over, that just puts a bad taste in your mouth.
And it's every week.
Because now those games are affecting positioning, potential playoff implications, and things like that. So, yeah, there's got to be more accountability than just saying, oops, my bad.
I'll tell you what else it's affecting, too. It's affecting a lot of people betting on these games. When people start losing money in that capacity because of a referee and bad calls, they're going to be some speaking out about the league, man. So
yeah,
they're going to have to do something about this because it's ridiculous. It's crazy. The NFL makes too much money in order to not be able to have a professional league of referees or a pool of referees that they could pull from. Get the very best that are doing the best jobs, put them out there. The ones that are continuing to do a bad job and miss calls, need to get them out the league, man.
And I thought that's what they were doing. I thought they evaluate these refs every week about their play calls and stuff like that. And depending on what grades they get, it determines when it's playoff time, which one of those crews are actually selected to referee certain games based on their regular season marks.
That's
so the incentive always had been to be as good as you can during the regular season so that your grading will be good enough to propel you into the playoffs.
But the bad ones keep their jobs and they're right back next year. That's the problem.
That's the unfortunate part. Anthony says, I think he meant sideline judge, or he says shy judge should override a flag that was a mistake. Is Sky Judge maybe?
Maybe he's talking about New York. Because I've heard a lot of people talking about why come they couldn't call New York on this one that DJ supposedly took his helmet off in the field of play. And
I think that one was more spontaneous, where they just assumed they saw a player with his helmet off celebrating that was clear and cut unsportsmanlike. I don't even think it triggered anything to New York.
Oh no, you can't call New York off of that. But I guess maybe that's what Anthony was saying.
If it wasn't clear if he had scored that touchdown, then they could have called New York on that one to determine when he complete the catch, because he did catch it fall to the ground. But even most replays, it was easy to see that he had full control of the ball all the way. He did everything with that catch.
Right.
But
I
listen,
think what people are asking though is if New York can be called. That's the change. Can we call New York on some of these things where refs are getting the calls wrong? Because of course, like you just said, can't call New York on everything. But why not? Why not?
Yeah, true. But Rand, my idea is, I remember at the time, because the refs were throwing so many flags, they were deeming the NFL the no fun league, where they were even talking about they were trying to control how much guys could celebrate, because they were talking about it would hurt the other players' feelings and stuff like that, and they called it taunting. And remember when they were really trying to, anytime they come up with a new penalty, they call it a point of emphasis. And remember when taunting first came out, oh my God, you couldn't do anything to show how happy you were that you made a play. Yeah. Think about the context of this game. At a very, very pivotal point in this game, DJ Moore had a ball literally slipped through his hands that could have kept the end of the game from even being an issue.
That's right.
He was going to go down as giving the game away had PJ not thrown that crazy pass.
Continue.
So what ended up happening was he ended up redeeming himself, and his emotions took over. Oh my God. Somebody's happy that he could have cost his team a win and then put him in a position in one of the most unbelievable plays, scores, and
in the history of our franchise. In the history of our franchise. And this is what I just found out as well. Even going back to college, that was DJ Moore's first potential game-winning catch.
Isn't that something?
That's his first.
I mean,
but he can't celebrate that. He got that.
And I love Jonathan Vilma, but Jonathan's like, you can't do that. You got to act like you've been there before, bro.
He's never been there before.
You know what? It's easy to say that in the booth while you sporting your Big A Super Bowl ring on. It's easy to say that. This is a fifth-year kid.
DJ's never been there before.
Telling them to act like you've been there before while you sitting in the booth with your Super Bowl ring. He does not have a Super Bowl ring, Jonathan Vilma.
And he's never had a game-winning catch.
Right. So all that act like you've been there before, I hear you, but he hadn't.
Yeah. And I get it too. I mean, of course, keep your helmet on. He should have known better, blah, blah, blah. But to me, he never would even had a chance to take his helmet off had he not made an amazing catch.
Right. So I mean, my God, if the refs
catch.
Couldn't even appreciate the fact that was an improbable throw and catch and that he got caught up in the moment. Have a little common sense.
Common sense. And that is what's missing.
Play. And in knowing that penalty could potentially affect the outcome of the game, don't be part of the outcome.
Amen.
Leave it on the field. Did it affect the outcome of that game?
Amen. Didn't. The Minnesota Miracle, where you remember that when it was homeboy that's in Buffalo right now. I'm forgetting his name. Diggs. He makes the game-winning catch, goes into the end zone, rips his helmet off, throws his helmet into the stands. No penalty.
I remember that.
No penalty.
I remember that.
No penalty. No penalty.
None.
It's crazy, man.
I
can't stand referees.
I just don't understand it. It's like, man, they see the Panthers and they're like, we're gonna snatch victory from the jaws of defeat from these cats, man. They just maybe it's because I'm a fan and I just feel that way. And you know what? Maybe if I was an Atlanta fan and I saw that, I'd be crying for a flag. But you know what? I don't know if I would or not, man, because I'm just like, I like competition. I like guys in the heat of the moment being able to celebrate something like that, because there's only a handful of guys that would have been able to come down with that ball. There's only a handful of quarterbacks, even Patrick Mahomes admitted that one, they would have been able to make that throw to begin with. Baker Mayfield wouldn't have been able to make that throw. Sam Darnold would have hit the ground to make that throw. Hell, I don't even know if Cam could have made that throw.
Dude, you're right. That was 70 yards. Let's talk about that. That was
Yes.
a 70-yard pass rolling out to the left.
Everything had to go right from beginning to end for that to happen.
I didn't know
for that
PJ
to
had it
happen
in
in
him.
that moment, and you throw a damn flag because he took off his helmet. Shame on you, referees.
Yes.
Shame on you.
Yep.
Absolutely. Other than that, what I also got out of that game, DJ Moore just made an amazing catch. He was happy. I would do the same thing. Hell yeah, of course. But you know what I got to also say about that game? Deontay Foreman, he was a damn beast. Now, you know, somebody that backed up Derrick Henry, you can tell that he played with Derrick Henry because he ran over some people. I mean,
you know what, though? It just angers me, Brian, because we could have been seeing this all year. We could have been seeing this all year long.
They had like they just traded for him and got him 2 weeks ago. He'd been on your roster all training camp. Y'all knew what this cat could do. Yet you sat there and kept deferring to McCaffrey so much when you had a nice change of pace back sitting right there. Even if you threw Chuba in the mix, you could have had a nice rotation of backs, almost Baltimore style, where it don't matter who's in the backfield, they're going to eat.
Yeah, and every one of them has a specific technique that they use.
Right.
Yeah.
So. Absolutely. And you had him, and the only time you used him is when you had to.
Yeah.
You had to use him because Chuba was down. You had to use him because you traded away McCaffrey. So by default, he's your featured back. That shouldn't have been by default.
When he should have been in there game one as the power back, as the goal line back. The man should have had more than 9 carries over the first 9 games.
This is the same mess I see with Dallas wasting away a Tony Pollard. I'm like, look, I get it. Your high price back is out there, but you better come up with some design plays for this cat too, because he's very dynamic and you need to make other teams' defenses have to scheme and account for him.
Yeah. Before we move on to any other game, Eddie Pinheiro.
Oh, did they bring him back? Because I would have left his ass at the stadium.
I hope you walked from Atlanta back to Charlotte.
All 285 miles. I hope you walked. I hope they didn't put him on the bus.
I hope you walked.
I hope he walked every because that's despicable. It really is. Yep. When you got Baltimore, and look, I ain't saying everybody can be their kicker because that's a special dude, Justin. But my God, there's so many kickers out there. Harrison Bucker would have made that kick. John Casey back in the day would have made that kick. Hell, Graham Gano would have made that kick.
I would have made that kick with a day's practice.
Todd Sauerbrunn would have made that kick. You know, I'm just going, bro. But the pressure just broke him. That you could tell that's what it was.
Yeah, it was nothing but pressure.
That's all it was. You could tell that it just. And you know what, bro? If that kind of pressure is gonna get you,
we don't need you. Don't need you. What good is a field goal kicker who cannot kick under pressure?
Oh my God. Yeah, because in Atlanta's kicker, Koo, they tried to ice him and he's looking at them like
right down the middle.
He's like, that's not gonna happen.
Right down
the whole time he was just like, yep, I'm good. He's loose and everything.
Right down the middle, game over.
Game over.
It's just a shame, man, because you're right. It's like the first field goal that he missed. Well, it wasn't a field goal, but it was the extra point that he missed. And we had to keep the game tied. You know, I saw the disappointment and everything, but when he came up in that game-winning situation to win it, I knew he missed just by his expression.
Yeah, I wasn't confident at all. I said, you know what? There's as much of a good chance of him missing it as him making it. And that didn't feel right with me. That should have been automatic. It wasn't even that far.
It was an extra point.
That should have been automatic. And I'm like, bro, come on now. I mean, we only ask you to do one thing. We don't ask you to block. We don't ask you to pass. We don't ask you to do nothing else. Just kick this one field goal. And you do this in warm-ups. You do it in warm-ups before the game. You do it in warm-ups before the second half. Bro, come on. They couldn't have lined it up no straighter for you.
No.
You kicked it to the left. In the biggest situation. we can't count on you in them situations, then we don't need you for routine field goals and stuff like that, or routine point after touchdowns.
Can't kick under pressure. What good are you? Because there's going to be pressure situations to come.
Right. And if this team has any chance of going in to the playoffs, if they win the division, they're going to need a kicker they can count on, because a lot of these games are really going to come down to 3 points or less.
Yep.
And it's going to depend on some good kicking and things like that. So, yeah, I have no confidence in this kid. He got to go. He got to go. If you can't perform under pressure, I don't need you. Anybody can perform when ain't no pressure on you.
Exactly.
You up 3 touchdowns and you kicking field goals left and right because you don't have nothing to lose. That's one thing. But when everything is on you, when there's 80,000 people looking at you in the stadium and millions more on the TV, and that's enough to crack you, bro, this ain't for you. So you talking about the extra point or the overtime kick? Both
of them, because
both of them.
They were both the same distance.
Because Anthony, here's the thing: if he had made the first one, we wouldn't even be talking about the second one.
Exactly.
So, but the fact that he failed on the first one opened up overtime to begin with. If he made the first one, game over. That's it. But yeah, because the Falcons couldn't have stopped the clock and they couldn't have gotten down. Kicker is the hardest job on the field. Oh, Jermaine. Jermaine, you know what? I will believe that if you say Matt Ryan is not a bum. I'm kidding. I know you're kidding. And now I just opened myself up for Matt Ryan. Jermaine, we missed you last week because we talked about the fact that he got benched. And I said, my brother's going to remind me that he tried to warn me at the beginning of the season that Matt Ryan was a bum, and I wouldn't listen to him. I thought that was going to be the second coming of Phillip Rivers. He said Matt Ryan is a bum. Well, we'll see. We'll see. You know what? I don't know if it's Matt Ryan or if it's Indianapolis in their schemes. We'll see. We'll see how they perform with Ellinger.
It's Matt Ryan. He's done.
Matt Ryan.
He's done.
Because they didn't do that. They didn't do that much better against the Commanders. They still lost. But Jonathan Taylor does not look like Jonathan Taylor of last year. He says it's both. I would agree with that. The receivers aren't getting open. I mean, the line isn't really scheming well for Jonathan Taylor this year. It just seems like they've regressed and taken a step back. That Super Bowl loss got to Matt Ryan. You really think that he's still got Super Bowl hangover from 3 years ago? Come on. I mean, the only thing that changed in those 3 years is he got 3 years older. Now, I will believe that more than he's got Super Bowl hangover. He's just older.
That's what happened.
Yeah, after a while, I mean, Father Time is undefeated. You can say whatever you want. But after a while, it doesn't matter. LeBron is finding that out. He started young, and his skills aren't where they are anymore. When Kobe was around, he started out very early, but he started getting into his 30s, and and playing in all those Olympics and stuff like that. It's just wear and tear on your body. Cam Newton found out, hey, I could sit there and try to inflict pain. And Josh Allen, if you're listening, I know you watched the show, bro, you need to slow it down a little bit, because if you don't maximize all them hits that you're taking now, ain't no telling how many more seasons you're going to have left in you. Ask Cam. We thought we would have Cam for 10, 12 years. Didn't happen. Jermaine says, look at Brady. Time is against you. Yeah, I know. What did you really get out of it other than AB sitting there DMing your wife? I'm sorry, ex-wife.
Wow.
Giselle. Call me. But yeah. I mean, yeah, he's not even married anymore, which is kind of funny, but it's okay. So walking away from the Panthers and the Falcons, I think that was good enough. Your Steelers had a rough time with the Eagles.
That's an understatement.
That is an understatement on purpose.
Oh boy.
Kenny Pickett threw the ball 38 times.
Yeah, completed 25 of them. Not a bad thing. But the thing with that is what we were talking about before when we talked about Kenny Pickett. He's been very good between the 20s, but he gets in those red zone situations and he can't finish the job, man. So,
well, you know why?
Gonna have to do a better job
between the 20s. You can spread. You got more room. When you start getting into shorter field situations, now defenses can really pin their ears back on you and play you a little tighter. That 5-yard buffer that you have with the receivers, where you can sit there and engage with them the first 5 yards and all that stuff, that gets tighter and tighter the closer you get to that goal line, where they really have to be able to create separation quickly, because there's not a lot of room between the 20 and the goal line as like it was when you're in midfield and anything like that. So when you get into that red zone, your area of field becomes very, very small, and you have to be very, very aware of that. Anthony said Pittsburgh is tanking.
Pittsburgh is absolutely not tanking.
I don't think that either.
They just traded Claypool.
Yeah, Claypool is gone.
But they also got back a cornerback in William Jackson III. So they are going to insert him. He's going to start. They are not tanking. Trust me on that one.
See that, people said the same thing about Carolina when they got rid of McCaffrey and Robbie Anderson.
Yeah.
And I would venture to say, after getting rid of both of them, I've seen some of the most inspired football out of that team. They just hadn't played well enough to win all of the games. They did win one of them, and Claypool is not worth a second-round pick.
Well, he was worth it to somebody. I mean, we didn't get a second-round pick for him, but one was offered. Now we're finding that out. I forget which team offered it to us.
Yeah.
I can't remember which team offered it to us, but yeah.
Yeah, you ended up. What did you end up getting for Claypool? I know the Bears got. It says the Bears got him for a second rounder.
Was it a second rounder? Okay. There was another team that was out there as well that wanted him for a second rounder. So.
Yeah, selling for a just kind of looking at it. Second round pick out of Notre Dame. Claypool been a popular. Yeah, it says they got him for a second round pick.
Awesome.
They Nets Pittsburgh's 2023 second round pick.
Yeah, but you're right, Anthony. I don't think he was worth a second rounder.
Yeah,
I think he was more like a third. But for us to get him for a second, hey,
well, I think his stock has plummeted because we really haven't seen a quarterback being able to get him the ball on a consistent basis.
He's
now depending on Justin Fields' ability to get him the ball downfield, which Justin Fields does like to open that ball up downfield. If he can be productive the second half of the year, I'm going to reserve saying whether he's worth a second round pick or not. He might show everybody that he is.
I've been watching him.
He might show you that change of scenery, and the quarterback that's capable of driving the ball down the field may show you that he can do that.
I'm going to challenge you to pull up the highlight reel from Pittsburgh and find a situation where he has beat a defender ever for 40 yards or been open for 40 yards.
Now that I ain't going to be able to find.
You're not going to be able to find it.
I ain't going to be able to find it.
He's a jump ball king. We got him because he's 6'3", some say 6'4". He tries to out jump defenders. That never worked. But beating somebody deep or getting separation on somebody.
Well, he's never been a technique guy. He's not a technique guy. He's not going to beat you with double moves and anything back shoulder fades and all. He ain't no Mike Evans.
No, not close.
He's not going to beat you like that. He's beating you with athleticism. He's that rawness. He kind of reminds me of a Dez Bryant kind of guy, not exactly like Dez, but Dez from the standpoint that Dez was never he wasn't the fastest guy. He was just a big guy that was athletic.
That's all he is.
Yeah, that's what he is. He went from a running team to another first run team, to another run first team, basically. That's true. But if you think about it, Chicago is a run first team because they ain't got no receivers. They traded Allen Robinson away. Hell, now if you talking about somebody tanking, hell, it seemed like the Bears tanking. They got rid of Roquan. They got rid of Quinn.
The Bears are tanking. They're tanking.
So like, damn.
It's a fire sale in Chicago.
I'm like, is Justin Fields gonna come out there on Sunday and the center gone too? Oh God. Yeah, I was like, okay, Quinn and Roquan, okay, I got you.
Liquidation.
Yeah, really. You can see some teams that are trying to move themselves into a position like the Rams did before and trying to make some offseason moves. TJ Hawkinson gets picked up from Detroit. That was a move.
That was crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy. Chubb goes to Miami, was it? Yes. The Broncos to Miami. So that's interesting. I think Miami is sensing that there's some opportunity in the AFC East. 49ers sends Jeff Wilson Jr. to the Dolphins. Calvin Ridley, this was the weirdest one, I think. The Jaguars picked up Calvin Ridley. Last seen Calvin Ridley was playing for the Atlanta Falcons before Calvin Ridley decided to gamble a couple of dollars away on some games. And he's just suspended for the entire year.
Yeah. You know what was really weird about it? He got suspended for betting on a Jaguars game.
I forgot about that, but you can't make this up. That's kind of crazy. And so you don't have his services this year. I'm sorry, that's just dumb as hell. Okay, anyway, I don't understand that at all. But I'm sure Atlanta was like, yeah, okay. Sure, you can have him.
You can have him.
Oh, God almighty. And the Steelers deal for Commanders William Jackson. Yeah, we talked about that. And the Bills got Nyheim Hines from the Colts. So instead of having a backup for Jonathan Taylor, as we were just talking about, they sent Hines to Buffalo to even add, which is weird because I know they had Zach Moss at one point. I'm not sure if he's still there.
They traded him away, yeah.
They traded Moss away. Yeah. And then you had another guy there too. So they're keeping their running back stable up as well. So 10 trades in all, I believe they said, which was actually a record-breaking process when it came to the trades. Very interesting trades. We traded Williams to get away from his contract. I know you did. Absolutely. Because you knew if you kept him, you were then going to have to try to extend him, and they didn't want to have to do that. I knew that was hey, let's go ahead and get rid of him mid-season before we get to the end of the season, and now we're sitting there going, are we going to have to tag this dude or not?
Yeah, all of those trades, I really like what Miami did.
Me too.
Whoa, man.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down. The Dolphins are for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I'm still looking at this thing with Calvin Ridley. Let me get him off my screen because that is hilarious. I mean, in so many ways. Like I don't know what they were thinking about with that one. But yeah, so any other games that other than the Pittsburgh? Now let's talk about the Eagles real quick before I get out of that game. Jalen Hurts. You know, going into this season, people kept saying the Eagles should be good, but we just don't know what the quarterback is going to do.
Right.
Now, you can say that they haven't really beat a lot of top-tier teams, and there would be some truth into that. But I would say that they beat number one who's on their schedule, and they beat teams in different ways. They beat them running all over them, and they've also beat them by passing all over them.
Yep.
AJ Brown, Tennessee. Y'all miss him yet?
Wow. You know, I'm sitting here watching the Pittsburgh game, and the first score, he beats double coverage in the end zone. Then he comes back and beats double coverage in the end zone again. I'm like, he just beat. Am I watching a replay?
Same play. It was the same play.
It's like, what the hell?
Bro, he hung 3 touchdowns on Steelers.
Yeah, and the most impressive thing about that is Hurts put the ball right where the ball needed to be. They were beautiful, beautiful passes.
Mm-hmm. Anthony says Hurts can have the best record and still won't win MVP. Why not?
Yeah, because as we sit here about halfway through the year, I'm looking at him as MVP. He's playing MVP ball.
Anthony, give me 3 other guys that have put together a body of work as impressive as Jalen Hurts. Because listen, Jalen threw for 285 yards. He threw 28 times and hit on 19 passes.
Yeah.
He only missed 9. And he didn't throw any picks.
But who would you even say is in the running for MVP other than him at this point in the NFL season? I'm going to have to put on my thinking cap.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He's 13th in passing as far as total yards. But you can't really look at Jalen Hurts as just passing yards. You have to look at all-purpose yards because he runs so much. You have to add that into the equation, not just rushing touchdowns, which he has, but actual rushing yards. Because he's a dual threat, he's number 13 as far as total passing yards at 1799. But for the he's thrown 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So when I'm looking at how many yards he's thrown and how many picks he's thrown, I'm looking at his passing efficiency more so than I'm looking at how many total passing yards he has. Because Dak Prescott was the king last year of empty calorie passing yards, and it didn't mean anything. He's passing for 1,800 yards, and his team has a 7-0 record. And through 7 games, he's only threw 2 interceptions.
Yeah, that's incredible efficiency.
That's nuts. Anthony says, depends who you playing, Josh Allen and Patrick and maybe Geno. Depends on who you playing. Oh, he says depends on who you playing. Josh Allen and Patrick and maybe Geno. You know, Geno is playing very well for a team that had expectations of going nowhere. And Geno did not seem to be the answer for them to have anything other than mediocrity attached to their name, if not worse than that. He's been a pleasant surprise. I don't know if I would put him in MVP or if I would put him in the comeback player of the year, because most people just looked at Geno as a journeyman. I would say Jalen is more of an MVP because Howard Roseman, they basically said, you know what? We're going to put this kid in a position to be successful. And if he's not, it ain't going to be because we sat there and held back at all. We put up a running game with him. We went and got A.J. Brown. We shored up our defense. We shored up our line. We have built this team around him. And if he doesn't step up and perform, now ask yourself this, Anthony, who had more pressure on them coming into this season? Geno Smith or Jalen Hurts? Because the team was basically ready to go. Everybody just kept saying the only thing that's going to hold Philly back is the quarterback. How is that looking right now? So I think Geno's kind of walking in with house money because nobody expected anything from Seattle. When you look at Josh Allen, yeah, you could kind of say that, but Josh Allen has already kind of proven himself to most of the pundits out there that he's the guy in Buffalo. people hadn't really said Jalen is going to be that guy in Philly yet because they're trying to figure out, is he really a franchise quarterback or is he a right now quarterback? And let's not even get into Mahomes because that ship has sailed. They've already decided that he's their future. Hell, they gave him a 10-year contract, which was crazy. So all of those things known, who has played at a higher level? Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, or Jalen Hurts? Now, I will give you that all three of them should be in the running, but I would tell you right now, if I had a vote, it'd be Jalen Hurts. What do you think, Rand?
Same. Jalen Hurts all day long. I mean, he's carrying the team. He is responsible, and the reason they are 7-0 right now. He's the sole reason that they are. Now, I know they got good defense. Take that into consideration as well. But he's the one that's putting the points up on the board. He's the one that's converting on third down. He's carrying them right now.
Well, here's the funny thing. And Anthony, you just made my point. He said, now A.J. Brown should win Offensive Player of the Year. Let me ask you something, bro. Why would he win Offensive Player of the Year? He don't throw the ball to himself.
You're right.
And last seen, A.J. Brown wasn't in that consideration when Tannehill was his quarterback, was he?
Sure wasn't.
What's the difference, I wonder? Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts.
Work with me on this. So sometimes it's I'll give you another example of that. Dallas. Y'all really thought Amari wasn't the number one? Ask the Bengals if he's a number one.
Cleveland.
Hey, ask Jacoby Brissett. He says Rodgers won MVP last year. Nobody on his team won an award. Yeah, because, hell, he only passed it to one person. Everybody knew who he was passing it. Listen, if there wasn't a guy named Cooper Kupp, Davante Adams may have won something.
Yeah, but again, Rodgers was basically the sole reason why the Packers were where they are.
Exactly. He got them to the championship game because of remember how many touchdowns he threw, and he only threw 4 interceptions the entire season. The whole year. 17 games. He threw 4 picks. That's why he won the MVP.
Yeah. Which was insane.
Yeah, he had a lot of, again, we're talking about passing efficiency. Not so much Tom Brady threw the most yards, statistically speaking, was one of his best passing yardage years. Aaron Rodgers won because of his efficiency. Because you got to remember, the thing that a quarterback is judged on is being able to protect that ball too. Ball security. Ask Daniel Jones. That's a big thing. If you can't ask Lamar Jackson. If you are not known as a guy that can hold on to that ball, then that does take you down a couple of notches. Aaron Rodgers has always been good that if he doesn't see what he likes, he throws the ball away but keeps it out of harm's way. So that's why he won the MVP, was because of his efficiency, it kept his team in games and they were winning, despite the fact that he didn't have a number 2 receiver. He had Davante Adams, Allen Lazard, and a couple of other guys, Randall Cobb, but basically a bunch of no names outside of Davante Adams. So that's why, and the reason that Davante Adams didn't win anything, because Cooper Kupp was going on his way to get the Triple Crown in receiving. So, I mean, that's not Davante Adams' fault. You just had a guy out there that was tearing it up out there. But Davante did get rewarded by the Raiders, financially even, not from a winning standpoint, because what they did the other day was just disgraceful.
How you loving playing with your homeboy, Davante?
Bruh.
How's that working out?
Bruh. That was disgraceful. Oh, my gosh. If anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, the Raiders apparently played a game the other day against the Saints. I don't know if the real Raiders showed up, but the Saints beat them 24-0. I mean, Derek Carr, 15 of 26. He didn't even throw the ball much. 101 yards, 1 interception. Jarrett Stidham came in and threw 8 for 13 for 72 yards. So between the two quarterbacks, 173 yards passing, no touchdowns, 1 pick.
I'm still wondering what the hell was that? It's like, what happened? It's like 15 out of 26 for only 101 yards.
The worst part of it was you lost to the Red Rocket. That's right. Yeah. Andy Dalton came in and spanked you. He threw 30 times, hit 22 of them, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. The Red Rocket.
Devontae Adams caught 1 ball for 3 yards. Did he get hurt? Like, what happened?
I don't know if he got hurt, but I know his feelings got hurt. Yeah, he got hurt, all right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was shameful. Anthony says the Saints might come up and take the division. You heard it here first. Listen, everybody's under 500.
Exactly.
Anybody can come take that division. Exactly. Nobody tried to just run away with it, okay?
So, not exactly a hot take there.
Yeah, I don't want you to think that was the proclamation of the year. Hell, I think West Charlotte football could come in there right now and take the division the way everybody playing like doo-doo. I will say the Saints coming into the season, I expected more from them. I thought having Chris Olave, Jarvis Landry, and Thomas out there would just be like a kid at a candy store for a quarterback, because you can't double team them all. And it's kind of that whole Jamar Chase situation that, okay, if you're going to double team this guy, then you're going to let those 2 other receivers get loose on you, or you're going to let Kamara get loose on you. And I really expected the Saints to really just rock and roll this year. And that just didn't happen for whatever reason. And, a lot of people can point to it and say, well, Sean Payton's gone and this and that and the third. But still, just with the makeup of that team, I just expected more from them. I thought their defense would be decent enough to keep them in games. But you know how I always say, if your offense can't get out of third downs and you constantly having to put your defense back on the field, you can make any extraordinary defense look ordinary. Chris Olave, Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'm hearing that. I am hearing that. So we'll see. We'll see. Defensive Player of the Year. Man, I hate to say it. It's going to be that number 11 man down in Big D. He keep on playing like that.
Shot. Yeah.
That dude there. That dude is just, he another world. He's another world. That dude. I give him all the respect in the world. You know how I feel about them Cowgirls. You know how I feel about them Cowgirls. And Lord knows, I will give Cowboy fans some credit, at least on my Facebook timeline. I didn't really see a whole lot of hooting and hollering. I did see about some how aboutums and stuff like that. But compared to other times, they was pretty moderate about their 49 points they hung up on the Bears from my timeline. I didn't see a whole lot.
Mine too. I didn't see a whole lot either.
I was shocked by that, because as I saw them whooping up on Chicago, the only thing I kept thinking was, oh God, here we go. And it didn't happen. And I was like, okay, maybe they've learned their lesson. Maybe. And Anthony puts in Sauce, cornerback from Jets, Rookie Defense Player of the Year, hands down. Yeah, I give you that one. Sauce Gardner. Yeah, definitely.
That was a disappointing game. I mean, that really was. We got on here and we talked about that last week.
Yeah,
the Jets having the prime position to be able to just bury the Patriots, to put them out of their misery for the rest of the year, and they just couldn't get it done. They couldn't get it done.
Well, this is having a streaky second-year quarterback in Zach Wilson, who just One week he looks great. The next week he plays too much hero ball. He tries to throw into the tightest of coverages and things like that. He threw 3 picks, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. He threw the ball 41 times and hit 20 of them.
Ouch.
355 yards, but you threw more times to the other team than to your own.
50% completion percentage ain't going to get it done either.
Ain't going to get it done. I don't care how many yards you put up, because you can't keep the ball out of harm's way. Just got through saying that. One of the biggest attributes of a quarterback is being able to protect the ball, live to play another down. You don't have to get it all back. And it was a close enough game. They only beat you by 5.
Yeah. So had the Jets won that game, they would have been sitting 6-2, while the Patriots would have been in an ugly 3-5 in the division. We already got Miami that's dominating.
You keeping them alive at 4-4. That's right.
Them alive. You got them alive. And anytime you got a Belichick coach team alive, I mean, that's all he wants, man, is a chance.
And he wants to have those tiebreakers over you. So if it comes down to the end of the season and you got the same identical records, but he has the tiebreaker because of head-to-head, that don't do you no good. So Jets, don't miss out on your opportunity. Beat them while they're down. Matt Jones looked so bad the week before that they brought in his backup. Then he comes out this week and you let him do 24-35. Now he only threw 194 yards, so that's a lot of short passes, 1 touchdown and 1 pick. So you let him redeem himself and look a lot better. Anthony says, question, what team did you think didn't do nothing for offensive trade? Rams, Packers, or Ravens? Well, all of them. I'd throw Cowboys in there too. Are you saying what team that I think should have done more at the trade deadline and didn't do anything? Because, Rand, my thing with the Rams is this. I don't think it's the offensive players. I don't think that's their issue. I think something's wrong with Stafford.
Yeah, Stafford ain't looking the same, and we're about to find out if it's Stafford or something else. Because
during the preseason, they kept talking about his shoulder, and they never really addressed his shoulder.
Yeah.
And they kept acting like it wasn't that big of a deal, and I was like, okay, we'll see. But I'm seeing that they're getting the ball to Allen Robinson a little bit more. I did see a little bit of that even against the 49ers. I saw Kupp, continuing to get the ball. I saw, the problem with the Rams is they can't run the ball. But I don't know if that's because of their running back, Henderson, or if it's they can't open up any holes for him. But even in third down situations where it should be an obvious run, they look to pass the ball more times than not because they don't even believe that they can run the ball. I've literally seen them on like 3rd and 1s, 3rd and 2s where it should be an obvious bang, bang run play. And they're rolling screens and all the exotic crossing routes and slants and stuff. And I'm going, you only needed 2 yards.
I've always wondered that as well, why they don't run the ball more than they do. Looking at the last game with San Francisco, they gave it to their best running back, in my opinion, is Darrell Henderson.
Yeah.
He only got it 4 carries. They gave somebody named Ronnie Rivers the ball 8 times, and
the rookie
21 yards. So
he's a rookie.
I don't understand what the thinking is there when you're talking about the run game in LA. I thought they really came up last year as well when they got my man from Georgia. I can't remember his name, but the running back from Georgia, and they didn't use him either. So they ended up letting Akers go. Akers is not there. He was unhappy with his usage. I see why now. So I don't know if is it a McVay thing? I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't think that they have the personnel to create the gaps that they need to run the ball. And they know that, so they're trying to compensate by throwing So in a lot of third down situations, they just couldn't convert because you can't just, they know in third down, if you're in passing situations, they can rush 4 and drop everybody else back in coverage and force you to throw. I mean, you're basically daring the defense. Their third down efficiency was 8 out of 13.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they're going to do this upcoming week because Kupp is hurt, I believe. I'm not sure if he's going to play. So that's really going to put them in a situation where they're going to have to lean on their other wide receivers.
That's exactly right. As far as the Packers never do anything. They just expect Aaron Rodgers to bail them out so long. Even when it comes to drafting, when's the last time they really, really went hard to draft an offensive player in the first round? They just don't do it. They give them no weapons. So would I be surprised that they would not draft get an offensive trade done by the trade deadline? No, not at all. They just figure Aaron will figure it out. As far as the Ravens, from an offensive standpoint, I think they're okay because they basically use the run to set up any passes, anything like that. And when you've got Duvernay kind of out there, I know Andrews got dinged up a little bit, and the other tight end kind of came in and did some yeoman's work for him. That's not really their thing. Their thing is the run is going to always any passing they do is set up by the run and by play action. So they really want teams to try to stack the box on them, so then they can start to spread you out with play action runs that go around the edges and stuff like that. They're trying to lull you to sleep by just running the ball down your throat. But Baltimore is a run first team, and they've already got the studs out there to run the ball. I was a little bit surprised with the Cowboys, but it looks like they're going to stand pat. It looks like they're going to still use the same formula that they use for Cooper Rush, which I agree with. Can't believe I agree with Mike McCarthy. But I think it's more Kellen Moore finally realizing that we need to make Dak play less hero ball, go through the run to set up the pass. Because I still don't know if CeeDee Lamb is really a number one receiver just yet. And if he is, I don't know if Michael Gallup has stepped up to being your number 2 receiver just yet. So their chemistry is going to take a while. He's missing Amari. If Amari was still there, I say you could probably do 50-50. You could probably throw as much as you pass it, and you would be okay. But they need to make sure that they're running the ball first. Big news. Chase Young is back at practice. He looked amazing. I will also say prayers with Coach Rivera, who lost his mom yesterday. I know that can be very, very hard and everything. And I know the Commanders are wrapping their arms around him right now. But yeah, Chase Young being back, that's a good thing. The problem is that too little, too late, because for once, the NFC East is not the NFC least. That has been passed on to the NFC South. The East is actually the beast, and they're looking really, really good. Even though the Giants lost against Seattle, I mean, they are still in it. They're at 6-2. So, Rand, when you look at the NFC East, you're looking at the Eagles at 7-0. The Giants and the Cowboys are tied for second at 6-2, and the Commanders are bringing up the rear at 4-4.
Yeah, Commanders still have a little bit of hope there. They still have to play games with the Giants and the Cowboys. I think Philadelphia is just going to run away with this thing. I don't see anybody slowing them down. But if you do have some hopes for a potential wild card chance from the East, if you get a wild card chance, Commanders, I guess, still are alive for that. So
that's true, because there has to be 3 wild card teams. Right now, the way it looks, if I had to say the first 4, right now you got the Eagles. I don't know what the West is going to be, because the Seahawks are in first place at 5-3.
Yeah, I don't see that sustaining. I think San Francisco is
Neither.
going to go ahead and dominate.
I do too. So if you pull the Eagles, the 49ers, the Vikings are looking good in the North. I don't know who can win the South. Maybe the Bucks figure it out. Maybe I don't know. I can't see Mariota sustaining this either. But whoever comes out of the South, I don't think there's a second team that's going to come out of that NFC South based on the records. So you still have three other teams. Could it be the Packers? I don't know. I think they're done. Then that leaves you three teams from the West and the East. So now, because I said before, if the Cowboys didn't win the division, they probably have no shot of a wild card. Well, now because the South and the North is so bad, actually, you probably could make a case that one wild card comes out of the East. You could make a case that two wild cards come out of the West.
The NFC is just crazy. I remember back at the beginning of the year.
If the Packers don't pick it up, I think the Bears and the Lions are done. In the South, I think the Saints, possibly the Panthers, are done. But somebody's got to win the South, even if they have a losing record. The chance is that you could end up with the Rams, 49ers, and the Seahawks all coming out of the West, and that you end up with the Eagles and the Cowboys, or you end up with two out of the West and three out of the East. But the Giants would, that's predicated on the fact that the Giants would have to continue to play the way that they're playing. So that's going to be, it's a crap show right now because they just look in such disarray. But what do you think about the AFC? Do you think the AFC is a little bit clearer?
Yeah, I think so. What I was saying about the NFC is like back at the beginning of the year before all of this started, we were thinking, God, this is going to be a race between the Packers and the Rams, and nobody else is even going to be involved in this thing. And now as we sit here today, the Packers and Rams are two of the worst teams in the conference. And so it just leaves everything else wide open. Stepping over to the AFC, I think things are a little bit more clear. You have your power teams in Kansas City and Buffalo, which we both predicted would be there in the end. They're looking strong as we're halfway through this thing. I thought Baltimore would also be there. You thought Tennessee would be there. Both of them are looking strong right now.
I agree.
And I think they'll be able to sustain it and make the playoffs, both of them. But
now your wild cards, you got three wild cards. I don't think there's anybody else in the South. I don't see the Colts, the Jags, or the Texans vying for a wild card spot. When it comes to the North, I think Pittsburgh is pretty much done, but the Browns are not out of it. And the Bengals, if they keep playing like that, they're going to let the Browns back in this thing. And we're getting kind of close to Deshaun Watson coming back,
which I can't wait for. I want to see. I just want to see how that's going to affect.
Wasn't it an 8-game suspension?
I think it was a little longer because 8 would have had him back last night or Monday night.
Well, that would have been the 8th. Well, last night was the 8th game.
Right.
I need to see when is he coming back? 11 games. Anthony said 11. Okay. Yeah. So without him for the first 11 games, they're at 3-5. If they can at least get to 6-5, he comes back against the Texans. Oh, well, that doesn't sound planned at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
Not like the Panthers ended up playing the Browns in Baker's first game, or Russ played the Seahawks in his first game. So of course it's just a happenstance that Deshaun plays the Texans.
Just a chance. Just about a chance.
Yeah, no, nothing there, nothing to see here. But if they can actually pull off at least another 3 wins, over the next 3 games. I'm not sure who they all play, but that would put them in a position where they could actually vie for a wild card. Right now, I would still probably give the nod to the Bengals. It really, to me, depends on how long Ja'Marr Chase is going to end up being out. But then in the West, you've got the Chargers that are still above water. I think the Raiders are done. I don't think the Broncos are good enough for a wild card. And then in the East, you've got definitely the Bills, but in the Jets and the Dolphins, I trust the Dolphins more than I trust the Jets because I trust Tua more than I trust Zach Wilson. I see
the Dolphins, after them trades.
Yeah. Oh God, yes. I see the Dolphins being that wild card team that you don't want to play in the first round.
No.
I see them doing some old Steelers stuff, coming in as a wild card and messing some people up.
They are dangerous. Yeah, they are dangerous right now. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They're, I look for teams that are complete by the end of the year. The Dolphins are getting that way.
Yeah.
You look at a complete team where they don't, because sometimes your run game travels better than your passing game. Sometimes your defense travels better than your offense. Those kind of things. If you're a running team and you have to go into cold weather places, can your running game sustain you through those times? Like the Rams, if they don't figure out their run game and they're not the number 1 seed and they have to go play a cold weather team and they can't run the ball, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So that's how those things kind of come back to you at the end of the year, because the temperature is already changing and, all those things start to play into it. So you better figure out your run game now, because that's a little bit more solid than passing games can be sometimes. So that's something to think about. But I brought all that up because, we're already in the week 8 is done. We're going into week 9 starting tomorrow. And it's going to be a thing now where we're basically in the middle of the season. So starting to kind of shake out who looks good, who doesn't. The NFC is just in disarray. The AFC looks a little bit more easier to kind of sift through and look at right now at this point. Yeah. All right, sir. Well, what game are you looking for this week? What's your game of the week?
I got a couple, man. That I think will be good. Let me pull up the old schedule here. Off the top of my head, we are on a bye week. We, as in the Steelers, if y'all don't know, I'm a Steelers fan.
That is correct.
We are on a bye week, and it's coming at a good time because by the time that we come back to play the Saints in 2 weeks, we will have TJ Watt back on the field. Thank God. But in terms of this upcoming week, got the Panthers playing the Bengals in what I think is a must-win situation for Carolina. If they're going to have any kind of plans or hopes to make it to the playoffs or win the NFC North, not North, the NFC South, they're going to have to get this game. And I think with Chase being gone, well, we saw what that happens to do with Burrow's passing game. So I think the Bengals are gettable. I think they
are gettable. They're very vulnerable right now. Yeah, but all you have to be able to do is stop the run with Joe Mixon. If you can control, if you can do 2 things, contain Joe Mixon, keep Joe Burrow off the field by sustaining drives, you'll win the game.
Yeah, they're going to have to. So, yeah, definitely looking forward to that one.
Anthony says, "Oh, really? You sound like a Panthers fan." Just kidding. Just kidding.
Do what?
Anthony says, "Oh, really? LOL. You sound like a Panthers fan." Just kidding.
Oh, I am a Panthers fan. I mean, I live here. I never understood that one. It's like people that they're fans of other teams that can't support the home team. It's like, why not? Come on, man.
Well, somebody told me that the other day, and I was like, but you're not even in the same conference.
Yeah, so like, why not? It's not like
you're not even rivals. I mean, It's not like me saying, hey, you live in Dallas, why can't you be a Cowboy fan and a Steelers fan? I get that.
Yeah.
Or if you live in Baltimore and you tell me you're a Steelers fan and you can't be a Ravens, I totally get that.
Absolutely.
But Carolina and the Steelers, I mean, hell, Carolina tries to be the Steelers. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's like big brother, little brother.
Come on. They always think they want to be the Steelers. But yeah, I think that's just their key to winning. It is a gettable game. At the beginning of the season, I would have gave them no chance, regardless of who the quarterback is. But the way the Bengals are playing right now, that thing last year that made them extraordinary, they don't have. And with Brian Burns coming off the edge like he is, you got Gross Matos, you've got Shaq in the middle. Those guys, if they can stop that run and put enough pressure on Burrow to not feel comfortable enough to push the ball down the field and get him on the ground, they get him down 3 to 4 times. That's going to be a lot of pressure.
Yep. What the Browns did to them, Carolina needs to do the same
damn thing.
Yep. Use two running backs.
You know what I liked about the Browns too? They gave them no hope. When they had the opportunity to just put the nail in the freaking coffin, they slammed that sucker down.
Yeah, that's what you got to do.
They gave them no hope. They basically just said, give, and they gave.
That's what you got to do.
That's what you got to do. Yeah, I think that's going to be a good game. Tomorrow's game is going to be a bloodbath, I'm thinking, but you never know.
Yeah.
You're going to put that on the primetime thing tomorrow. I'm going to pick the Eagles, and that'll be their first loss of the season. Because obviously I'm the kiss of death. Obviously. Because what could go wrong will go wrong, and the Eagles will look good, and everybody will be talking about their young quarterback. And my man Pep Hamilton, who is a West Charlotte grad, Pep Dub C, is their offensive coordinator. So I wish success for Pep, but not enough for the Eagles to lose. That should be an interesting game. What other games did you see that were going to be pretty good?
So not a whole lot really sticks out. You got the Chargers and Falcons. That's an interesting one because I'm hoping the Chargers will beat the Falcons,
right?
Which they probably will, and go ahead and tighten up that NFC South a little bit more. But the other games that are out there are not really that attractive to me. What you see? You got a game of the week out there?
Well, I really want to see there's two. I really want to see what happens with the Bucks and the Rams, because both of these teams are kind of in the same position. They can't run consistently. Whose running game is going to show up in this game? It's a 425 game. Because it's going to come down to this. If neither one can run the ball, who's going to pass the ball better? Now, on paper, the Rams have the better, well, I won't say the better receivers. They have a better receiver in Cooper Kupp. But when healthy, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans is a pretty good tandem as well. There's just no depth in receiving after that. You've got Scotty Miller. You've got my man that came over from Atlanta, Russell Gage. But Tom Brady just does not seem to be clicking with his guys right now.
Ain't it funny how both of these teams are in the same situation?
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's like you're playing against yourself. Who's going to wake up out of this coma and take over? Now, from an NFC South standpoint, of course, hey, Paul Copeland.
What's up, Copeland?
So anyway, I'm hoping that from an NFC South standpoint, the Rams kind of step up a little bit and put the Bucks down a little bit. That would be nice. It'll be good. Also, the Monday night game, the Ravens and the Saints, to really see if the Saints are going to be able to stop the run. Jabronis. We in here. So it'll be interesting for the NFC South for me to be able to see what happens with that. Titans got to play the Chiefs. That's going to be Sunday Night Football. Let's see if the Chiefs have an answer for that bad man. That dude Lord, I saw a run he did last week where he just shot out like a cannon, came down the side, and people were making business decisions. Do I get in front of Derrick Henry, or do I kind of make a half a attempt at a tackle that I know I'm going to end up not making just to make it look good so the coach don't chew me out on the sideline? I'm going to make it look like I tried to get him, but I ain't really trying to get him because I'm making business decisions. Tackling Derrick Henry can be bad for your health. Or trying to. Ask Josh Norman.
Can make you a star.
You know what? If I could ever do an open for the show and use NFL footage, that would be one of the things I would have on there is when he just sat there and made Josh Norman look like a rag doll. Because that's just one of the funniest runs I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. You got the Seahawks and the Cardinals. I really want to see how Geno's going to play against Kyler. Kyler and D-Hop started connecting last week. That was good to see D-Hop back in the building doing his thing. I'm not a Kyler fan. So I really want to see if they're going to be able to get after him, or now with him having a little bit more receiving options, is he going to be able to kind of shake loose on Seattle and really, I've seen Geno really put up a lot of points, whether it was TJ Lockett or to DK Metcalf. So it's going to be really interesting to see if he can keep that going. So while they're not any sexy games, so to speak, with the names and stuff, some of the storylines are going to be really interesting to me. Can Tua go to Chicago, beat up on the Bears, put Justin Fields into submission? How is Chase Claypool going to look now playing with the Bears? They don't have a lot to lose, so they should be able to play a little bit loose. Nobody's expecting them to do anything. How are they going to play? This is another opportunity for the Dolphins to continue to win and solidify that second slot in the AFC East. So making sure that they stay on schedule and everything. Win the games you're supposed to win. It always comes down to that, Rand, that a lot of times you end up having regret because you let the one that you should have had get away.
Yeah.
So it's going to be real interesting to see that. So not a lot of things as far as sexy, but definitely some games where you want to see how teams continue to move forward now that we're going into the second half of the season.
Yeah, even got Vikings and Commanders, both of them on win streaks. One of these streaks are going to come to an end. So that one's a little interesting in that regard. Mm-hmm. You got the Jets versus the Bengals. Can the Jets bounce back from that terrible loss last week?
You mean the Bills?
Say what?
The Jets play the Bills.
Yeah, Jets play the Bills, but can the Jets bounce back from that terrible loss from New England last week?
Yeah, definitely.
And get going in direction, catch the Bills by surprise. We'll see. It's the NFL. You never know.
Yeah, on paper, it looks like that should be a bloodbath.
Yep, on paper. But you know how that on paper goes.
Because Zach Wilson, Zach, if you don't play better, they're going to bring Flacco back in. He's a very streaky guy. The one thing is, if Wilson can protect the ball, will the defense, will they put Sauce Gardner on Stephon Diggs?
Hell yeah, they're gonna put Sauce on Diggs.
Now, I would love to see that matchup.
Yep, we're gonna see the highlights, brother.
Yeah, that's a 1:00 game. Yeah. I definitely want to see if Sauce can slow Stephon down.
Yeah,
that'll be interesting.
I think Stephon's gonna take the rook to school, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean he should, but yeah, let's see if he's really, and let's see if he's gonna talk a little bit of trash between now and Sunday. I hope he does. Those will all be interesting. Before we get out of here, I know you guys had a Halloween show going on. You got any other shows coming up?
Yeah, my sick band, the Ultimate Alice in Chains tribute, will be in Raleigh this weekend. So Raleigh folks, come check us out.
Nice.
Be at a place called the Poorhouse in Raleigh. It starts at 8:00. We hit the stage at 9. So let's see all my Raleigh folks out there to support me.
Man, are y'all staying up there for the night, or you coming right back down?
Depends.
Okay. Yeah. All right, I got you. Paul says Zach is young. He needs to stay in there and learn. he need to stay in there and learn, but he need to learn not to try to play hero ball.
Yeah.
Trying to force balls into double, triple coverage, learn how to throw guys open, and that kind of thing. He needs to develop. He needs to work on his body in the offseason and get better because he takes a lot of hits. And if he don't get a little bit more bulk in him, they're going to break him in half. I'm just saying.
It's a frail little dude. Look like a field goal kicker out there.
Yeah, and you're playing in the AFC. You play teams like Cleveland where Jadeveon and Myles Garrett. You got to play the Steelers where you got TJ Watt and Mika coming at you. Yeah, bro, you need to add some weight on you because they're gonna beat the crap out of you. He said, yes, that's all part of developing. I know, but he's in his second year. He's got to calm down. He's got a good coach in Robert Salah. He's got a defense that's up and coming. He's got a run game this year that should keep him from having to try to play a bunch of hero ball. So it's just really calming him down. And every now and then just threaten to bring Flacco out, and then should calm him down even more. Say, hey, you see Flacco over there? I got you, coach.
Mike White.
Or Mike White. Yeah, I forgot about White. White did his thing when he came in too. So, no, I agree. When I first saw him play against the Panthers last year in the second half of that game, in the first half of that game, Shaq and them teed off on him. Second half of that game, I saw a more composed quarterback. And I was like, it was scaring me seeing him do that because I was like, hell, they might win the game. And they almost did. But I've seen Zach Wilson be composed, but a lot of times I see him get away from that and then try to just do too much. And like I said, they were in that Patriots game. They only lost by 5. He didn't have to throw 3 picks. Sometimes you just have to know when it's third down and long and it's not there, and you just don't take the sack, but throw the ball away, kick the field goal, and play field goal position. Just play position. And eventually you'll get it back, but don't try to. You can't win the game with one play, unless you're PJ Walker throwing the DJ Moore, and then you lose it because of the refs. But anyway, I'm not salty. It is what it is. And then but you know what? I was really happy to see. I will say that since Paul is on, Paul's 49ers fan, right?
Right.
C-Mac, man.
Looks good, don't he?
Rushes, catches, and throws a touchdown. First time in 15 years that's happened.
And we're going to see more of that.
And that pass that he threw
on the field at the same time.
The pass that he threw was on target. It wasn't like the receiver had to come back to get the ball. He got it to him in stride. It was beautiful. Listen, I don't care where C-Mac is. I will root for him if he's on the 49ers. I'll root for him if he's on the Cowboys. And if anybody know me, that's almost blasphemy. But I'm rooting for that dude. And what he's doing, what he's going to do for that franchise is everything that we hoped he could have done for ours. So
C-Mac with Debo out there in that San Francisco defense. Oof, gonna be hell, man. Gonna be hell the rest of the stretch down.
That ain't the team I want to see in the first round of the playoffs.
Nope.
At all. So, and then because he threw it to Ayuk, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was pretty. That was pretty. So yeah, I know they're gonna mix it up. He has Debo, Kittle, Ayuk. His touches should be reduced by 30% from the Panthers. I agree. But the good thing is it's not having him out there. It's the threat of him being there. Where teams see, if a team knows that it's going to be McCaffrey left, McCaffrey right, McCaffrey middle, that doesn't make him a threat because they know you're going to give him the damn ball every time. But if he's out there and they don't know if you're going to give him the ball, that's when he becomes even more dangerous, thereby keeping him healthy and fresh. Exactly. And I'm glad to see that at least a team thought about what I was talking about in the offseason about prolonging his career, is sometimes line him up in the slot. Even if you start him out in the backfield, put him in motion. Can you see Christian McCaffrey being put in motion, catching a smoke route, making the first guy miss, and going up the field for 30 yards? I can.
What about Christian McCaffrey being put in a slot? He goes into motion one way, and you got Debo coming in motion the other. What
Oh God!
the hell is the defense supposed to do?
And your defense is almost paralyzed because they don't know who's going to end up with the ball, because it could start out one side and they can flip the field so fast.
Right.
You can't catch neither one of them flat out. So, yeah. I'm happy for you. Hey, if it can't be us, I'm happy for you. You know, I used to be a 49ers fan back in the day anyway, but anyway, that's a long
Rams, story. Cardinals, Seahawks, y'all got some problems.
Y'all got some serious problems. This is stuff that will keep you awake at night. Yeah, they both can throw too. Exactly. So, yeah, how about that? So, yeah, I think the 49ers are really, really prime to take over that division. I just don't see Seattle sustaining like that. I think they're going to find some bumps in the road that's going to take them down. I think they're going to still be very competitive. I think Pete Carroll has shown that he can take a team far even without Russell Wilson or Bobby Wagner. So, you know, kudos to him for that. All right, Rand, we're going to get ourselves up out of here. Thank everybody for coming through. We will do this again next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Make sure that you let everybody know when you get onto the show. Please do me a favor, share, and go onto our page and subscribe on our YouTube page. Would definitely appreciate that on the Empower TV network. Rand, we'll see you again next week. Oh, got a last comment in here. Remember what I said, Niners versus Bills in the Super Bowl. All right, Paul, we hear you, bro. Jabronis, right? All right, Rand, we'll see you next week. Y'all be good.